Hey YouTube, what is going on? I wanted to try something a little bit different today, take a break from reading mythology stories, and come at you with a third-party action figure review. Now, this is Xensation's The Mercenary, or Totally Not Bron from Game of Thrones. Now, I've been picking up Xensation's third-party Game of Thrones figures for quite some time now. Um, and I've been watching their quality. The Advisor was great. The Smuggler looked fantastic. I think my only gripe with the Smuggler was how flimsy the plastic sword was on him, but the character who that was based on didn't really use a sword much anyways. And now we come to the Mercenary. And does he stack up to the rest? Well, let's find out. First of all, let's see if I get him to stand on his own. He does so all right. Put his arm down, and we will come in a smidge closer on that sculpt. Now, does it look like the actor who it is supposed to portray? Yes. Yeah, I really do think so. It is a very passable bronze sculpt. And I don't think it is as high of a quality as the Advisor or the Smuggler were. However, it's important to remember those were both based on older characters. And with the Smuggler, with much more facial hair, there's a lot more for the sculptors to go wild with, go crazy with in terms of capturing minute details to really bring it to life. Now, they did, and I do like this. I don't know if that's coming up on camera or not. They did sort of go a little buck wild with adding in his very vascular forehead. And they cut loose with that a little bit. It does, this is Bron from Game of Thrones. And it's very passable likeness, even though I wouldn't call the quality of the sculpt overall one of their best. But it is growing on me. I don't like the beard. It's just kind of muddly and murky. It doesn't have the sharpness that I guess I was looking for, especially after the Smuggler. Just a sharp sculpt. There is a noticeably large seam in where the hair connects to the head. I think that's picking up all right. So, you know what? This thing costs $100, and in the current market, you're not really getting high quality 6-scale figures for $100 anymore. So, yeah, I'll take it. I feel like bang for the buck. This thing is a great value. Now, he does come with some extra hands, a couple of fists, a couple of gripping hands, and a couple of relaxed hands. Right out of the box, he has his gripping hand on, and that's all I'm gonna need, really, so I didn't even bother with that. Okay, so if you've ever had an Asmus Lord of the Rings figure, you pretty much know what you're in for with regards to this guy. So let me take that out real quick. He is on a KP01 or Caustic Plastic 01 body. Wow, that is... Sorry, I just noticed something. That is weird. I've never been able to depress. Do you hear that? Depress a head sculpt like that before. So that is odd. It was molded in a very soft plastic. Okay, whatever. That's different. I wonder if that's how they keep their costs so low. That is weird. Anyways, if you've ever had an Asmus Lord of the Rings figures, they also use the Caustic Plastic 01 bodies. That has pretty standard waist articulation and crunch. However, this guy is wearing a fat suit, I've just noticed, so I'm not getting much movement out of there. Unlike with a lot of the Asmus figures that I have, his shoulder moves forward and back relatively unhindered. So I wonder if they fixed the bodies up a bit, because that was always a big point of contention for me with the caustic plastic bodies is how tight those darn shoulders were. Yeah, double jointed elbow, so you get a full range of motion there. Your standard wrist peg connectors for 6 scale, so plenty of motion. They do feel sturdy as well. I have no worries about wrist pegs breaking, and if they do, this would be a simple swap onto another body to fix. Also, with Asmus, single jointed knees. That's a caustic plastic thing. And yeah, whatever. This is a perfectly serviceable figure. The only thing I would really want is double jointed knees, but with the caustic plastic bodies, I'm quite used to it by now. I'm not seeing. Let's get to the outfit. Usually, and I've noticed, they use a lot of Asmus molds for these Xensation, totally not Game of Thrones figures. The only bit of reuse that I'm really seeing on this guy is with those boots. Those are the Asmus Aragorn Slim Edition boots. At least that is the cast of them. Yeah, they work just fine for this guy. I don't remember in particular what kind of boots Bron wears, nor do I really care. They were probably just some fantasy-looking medieval-style boots, and that's what he's got on, so that works fine. The outfit itself, I'm quite enamored with. This is a... Do you hear that? Really thin, supple, faux leather material. The material and the pants are made of the same material. It's very similar to the coat that the Asmus Aragorn wears. If you felt that, it's a similar thin. It looks well enough, and you know, when you're trying to get the textures of those outfits into this scale, you just kind of pick something that works, and they've got something that works here. Let's get into the details on the focus. There we go. So these buckles are in fact sculpted plastic affixed to the tunic here. Paint looks good. I actually had to, on first glance, take a second look to see if they were sculpted plastic or leather and buckles, so it looks fine to me. Paint's sharp enough on them so that they don't look splotchy, blobby. You know, I can tell where the buckle's supposed to be. That's well serviceable. Weathering on the outfit looks nice. Bron's kind of a dirty mercenary archetype of a dude, and you know, he's out wandering, doing dirty deeds for Tyrion, and I think the outfit reflects that well enough. The weathering is continued on his legs. The feet, the feet kind of suck. I think going in there with some dry brushing on the bottoms of the boots to look like he's been sledging through some dirty terrain or out on the road, the King's Road, would be of benefit, especially just to match the weathering that we have on the upper body. That would be good. He doesn't come with a whole lot. Like I said, this is a cheap figure, so the way I see it, I just get what I get, and I'm happy with it at this price point. I am happy that they used a faux leather feeling belt that is of good quality. The scabbard for his sword is held on by these rings here, and it's looped nicely. It's tied off well. I don't have any issues with it. And the die-cast sword, it's just your standard faux medieval arming sword, or maybe that's a bastard sword. It does look like a hand and a half sword. Oh well, it's it's a cheap sword for a mercenary. He's not going to have the finest weapons crafted by the finest blacksmiths in King's Landing. He's going to use what he can, and he's going to use it in the most efficient way that he can to get the job done. That's the kind of guy Bron is. And as you can see, the sword fits nice and tight into the scabbard once you have it in there. No worries about this sliding out or getting damaged. And I am quite happy with that. Now, another thing that I'm quite happy with, one of my biggest pet peeves is when characters cannot hold their accessories, their swords in particular, very well. I'm a fantasy collector, lots of swords in my collection, and lots of characters posed holding their sword. I'm pleased to say that Bron holds his sword very, very tightly. It is snug. It's not going to wiggle out. I can pose him however I want holding his sword, and that pose will, in fact, stick. So that's good. The 3-0 Game of Thrones figures, for the most part, can't hold their swords worth shit. And I've gone through and wrapped thin strips of leather around the handles to get them to hold their swords more snugly, and just been through the gambit. But that is not anything that I'll have to do with our buddy Bron here, as he holds his just fine. All right, so that's it. That's the figure right there. It looks serviceable. It's good enough. It's $100 to $120, depending on where you're picking it up and getting it shipped to you. Poses easily. The expression is a bit, that's Bron. That looks like Bron. He looks like he'll do whatever you ask him to do, as long as you pay him well to do it. And it works. It works for me. A little bit of a scarf under there. I don't think I talked about that. Quick look at the wrists, hands. Yeah. Fingerless gloves. Mercenary. There we go. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching this review. I don't do these very often, so pardon that this is not a very professional production. However, I am a longtime 6-scale collector and fan, so I thought I would throw my hat into the ring and maybe do a couple of reviews for some figures that I don't see a lot out there for, because I don't collect a lot of mainstream stuff. So that's what I got. If you enjoyed this, please sound off in the comments if you want to start a dialogue. I'm pretty bored here in quarantine, so I would love to just chat with fellow collectors about whatever, or this figure in particular, if you have any questions. All right, thanks for watching. Stay happy, stay healthy, and happy collecting. All right, bye-bye.